Don't take life too serious and laugh a lot. You got to have a sense of humor. Well, I'm not scared of dying, and as long as they can keep me out of pain in this hospital so I can go peacefully, that's all I care about. But I hate leaving Delia and you guys, and, hopefully I'll be able to keep an eye on you from up above.
That sounds good to me, man.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Grandpa, how you doing, man?
Not very good.
Yeah. Are you feeling okay, or not?
He's not in pain.
Yeah. No, I've never had any pain. But I'm very, very, very short of breath, and I've lost all my muscles, and I've lost about 10 pounds or
15.
more, maybe. But
he's very
never any pain.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Well, he was really hopeful. I won't talk very long, but he was very hopeful to get that TAVR. And when that fell through, and we got this horrible news Monday, Gary just said that's it.
All three of those, the dialysis, the heart problem, and the lung cancer, all three of those are fatal diseases on their own, and there's no way I can fight three of them at the same time. There's just no way of doing it.
Yeah.
Well, he could maybe if he was younger, but Gary almost feels resigned, I feel.
Yeah.
But I'm very sad.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss everybody, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, we're gonna.
But I'm glad I got to see you get married, though.
Yeah, I'm glad you were there too. That was a lot of fun.
I'm gonna miss Chris's, though. I won't be around then.
Yeah.
But hey, your mom's coming out here tomorrow.
Yeah. So her and Steve, and it sounds like maybe Uncle Gene.
Well, Uncle Gene's coming Sunday, and Joette, and maybe Carl, but I don't know.
Well, I had kind of a funny coincidence that I was wondering, it kind of lined up. So a few weeks ago, I randomly decided I was going to do a podcast.
Right, I remember you seeing that.
Yeah, so what podcasts are, it's kind of like our generation's kind of radio show. You put it on the internet and you record it. So I actually I'm actually talking to you right now through my computer.
Okay.
And I've done some interviews for my podcast, and I've recorded it on my computer. And if Grandpa's feeling up to it, I was wondering if I could kind of interview him and ask him a few questions. So,
go right ahead. I'll just listen.
Grandpa, you feeling up to it, man?
Yeah.
Some of these are just kind of easy questions about your life. The way I kind of see this is something that, someday maybe if my kids want to listen to it, they could listen to it and hear your voice and hear about your life a little bit. So I'm going to start. What date and year were you born, and what city were you born in?
April 12th, 1937.
Maumee.
In Maumee? All right. And how many siblings did you have, and how much older or younger were they than you?
What's the difference between Gene and I?
Yep.
I'm 6 years older than him.
And then you don't need to list them all out, but how many first cousins did you have?
Oh, God.
Lots of them?
I don't know.
A lot of them? All right, we'll skip that one. How many cities have you lived in your life?
How many cities?
Yep.
Just two, Maumee and Prescott.
Maumee and Prescott. How about this? When you were in Maumee, how many different houses did you live in?
About 8.
Cool. Moved around a little bit.
Yeah.
What did your parents do for a living?
My mother was just a housewife, and my dad, in his early years, was a mechanic, and then he got a job at Champion. And he was a tool maker for Champion Spark Plug. And then he always had a garage on the side too, out behind the house.
When you were growing up and you were a kid, what are some things that you like to do? Did you like to play sports or hobbies or anything like that?
Oh yeah, well, we were so close to the Maumee River, and that area we hung out down at the Maumee River a lot. Played down there, winter and summer, and just baseball, softball,
Glass factory?
Yeah, I used to go to the glass factory, which was abandoned years and years ago. But just general kid stuff. We had a good we had a good time as kids all together.
The duck pond?
Yeah, used to go to the duck pond, and we just had a good time.
Yeah.
It was a good time to grow up back
Yeah,
in
for
those days.
sure. Yeah, it's a little different than it is now. I think you told me a story a few times that you played football, pickup football with Dick Kazmaier, right?
Yeah. Well, once or twice, I think it was. He was down in West Dudley visiting one of his cousins, and a bunch of us got together. And I didn't play too much because I was quite a bit younger than him,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But yeah, I met him.
That's pretty cool. And then, did you play any instruments? Were you in the band?
Yeah, I played saxophone. In fact, Gene started on my old saxophone.
Oh yeah, I never knew that.
Yeah, I never had the patience to carry through with it though, like him.
Yeah.
He had the love.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. How about this? How old were you when you met Grandma, and how did you meet?
Oh, we met in high school. Yeah, down at Sharon. Well, the funny thing is, I hung around with Adelia's brother Mike before I knew her.
Yeah, because I was only 12 then.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
And then in high school, I started dating her. She was a sophomore and I was a senior. Yeah.
Tell him how cute I was.
Oh, yeah. She's still cute.
That's great. When you graduated high school, did you go straight to work, or did you go to any...
No, I went to Bowling Green University for 1 year.
Okay. What'd you study
But I
there?
didn't care for it, so I dropped out. And I went to work at Champion Spark Plug Plumbing. I'm going back to school. But I liked working down there, and I saw a future in it. So I stayed there rather than going back to high school or college. Yeah, it was interesting work at Champion. Champion was a very good company to work for.
Yeah.
They were family owned, and and that was their world headquarters. They took care of their employees pretty good. Yeah, I made a lot of jet igniters, and a lot of people don't realize that Champion basically was the main manufacturer for our government for all the jet aircraft, helicopters, all that kind of stuff. And that was interesting work.
Yeah. Okay, so I never knew you went to Bowling Green. What did you study for the 1 year you were there? Were you majoring in anything?
Yeah, I was thinking about being a veterinarian.
Oh, I never knew that. I remember.
Because I had an uncle on my mother's side of the family that was a veterinarian. He was head of the Veterinarian Association for the state of Ohio. And I always felt that would have been an interesting job. But
Tell him about the day you were in the German class.
one of the things that you had to take was German. And I signed up for the German class, and I showed up. And the guy was a stickler, the guy that taught the class. And he said, this is the last English you're going to hear in this class. He says, all I want to hear from now on is German. So I came back the next day. I came back and half the class was dropped out already.
Oh, that's great.
Including me. That was my last day.
That's really funny. Okay, so you went to your college and you went to work at Champion. What year, or how old were you when you married Grandma?
Yeah, right around 23, 24.
I have to coach him because he doesn't hear some stuff.
That's fine. Yeah, you can
And
be
we
our
had
translator.
all of our kids by what?
By the time you were Justin's age.
Yeah, by the time I was your age, I had.
47 we had all three kids by the time you were.
Yeah, I had all three kids.
Okay, so you that would have
But
been.
Gary forgot. He didn't tell you about when he went in the service.
Oh yeah, tell me about
He
that.
left Champion.
Yeah.
Tell him about that.
Well, back in those days, they had the draft, and if you weren't going to college, you didn't have an exemption. And since I dropped out of school to go to work at Champion, or
You were
Because
eligible.
I dropped
then.
out of school, I was eligible for the draft, and I didn't want to get drafted, so I joined the National Guard, and that took me off the draft list.
He was on active duty for 6 months and inactive for 5.5 years.
Yeah, I was down in Fort Knox, Kentucky, and Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Okay. And then you mentioned by the time you were 27, you had all 3 kids. So how old were you when you had my mom? 24?
Well, actually, he was 28, I think, when we had the kids, because I had Steve when I was 26. I had Tracy when I was almost 22.
So he would have been about 24?
Gary would have been, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, Delia and I, we bought our first house before we got married.
Oh, yeah?
And back in those days, they didn't accept the woman's job.
But we've never paid a dollar rent for anything in our whole lives. We started right out owning our house.
Yeah. Where was your first house? What street was it on?
It was over by Parkway Plaza.
Lamont Drive.
Yeah. Cost us $92 a month.
Yeah, ours
funny?
costs a little more than that. Oh, that's funny.
That's a dinner out.
Yeah, right.
That included insurance, taxes, and everything.
Yeah. So, all right. So we were talking about having kids. What do you think was one of the hardest things about being a dad?
Hardest things about being a dad?
Yep.
Putting up with their bullshit when they get to be teenagers.
Oh, that's funny. What do you think's the best part about being a dad?
Best part?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just plain nice to have a family, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I guess if, in the next few years sometime I'm going to be a dad at some point, what's some advice you would give to me, someone who's going to be a dad someday?
Yeah. If you're going to be a dad?
Yeah.
Pay a lot of attention to them because they grow up real quick.
Yeah.
They don't stay little forever.
Yeah. So let's talk about your dad for a second. What's one of your favorite memories you had with your dad?
Going to races with him at Indianapolis and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He was really into racing. And also, my dad wasn't like most dads. Like if I have a car, had a couple cars that were souped up, and he knew I was out drag racing all the time because that's what everybody did every night back in the 50s. And if I'd come home and say that I lost this race with a guy just by a couple feet or something like that, he'd say, well, let's lift the hood and see what we can do to make it faster. Well, nowadays, most
Like in Greece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big part of our lives when we were in our teens. Was just like in Greece, cruising the drive-in eating places and cruising up and down the streets, fixing your cars up. Really cool back in those days.
Yeah. Sounds cool. All right. Well, what's one of your happiest memories with your kids?
Yeah, my mom and dad didn't go on a lot of vacations.
No, with our kids.
Oh yeah, we went on a lot of. Our kids did a lot of traveling before they ever got out of school. I made it a point. Well, Julia really started as traveling out west, and then I got hooked on it, and we took our kids on a lot of trips.
Yeah. Is there one that stands out as your favorite?
California was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
When we went to Santa Monica and all that stuff. When I was swimming in the ocean, Santa Monica Pier, Disneyland, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
Yeah, sounds like a good time. If you had to pick one, what was one of the hardest challenges of your life, and how did you overcome it?
I think one of the hardest times in my life was when I got out of the service, and while I was in the service, I got laid off from Champions Spark Plug So when I came out of the service, I didn't have a job, and you couldn't get a job anywhere. They wouldn't even take your application. It was that bad back in those days. But Julia was working as a secretary for a propane company in South Toledo, and one of the people there just got fired, and she
I called him
me
up.
and she said, "You can get a job as a truck driver out here." So I delivered propane and worked with gas and stuff for about 6 years. All the time I was laid off from Champion, but then Champion called me back to work. Yeah, I was offered a job as superintendent, but it was up in Romulus, Michigan.
Oh, jeez.
But it was a big title, but no pay. Huh?
Yeah, big title, no pay. And it was sort of the armpit of Detroit.
And you got called back to Champion at the same time.
Yeah, got called back at Champion.
I have to help him because he can't hear some stuff.
That's okay.
Well, I can't hear hardly anything.
You're getting a lot more out of him than I thought, because he gets tired easy.
Yeah. Well, all right, so you've been on dialysis now for, I want to say it's been
13 and a half years.
30, I was going to guess 14. And I know for most people, they don't last on dialysis that long. And so kind of and one thing I've always loved about you and really admired about you is the whole time you stayed really upbeat and positive and always making jokes and laughing. So I guess.
Well, that's true. Part of it is your attitude, you know?
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. So.
And I did very good on the dialysis, really.
He wasn't a diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That makes a big difference.
Yeah. And so now that you're going to be off of it for a little while, are there any foods you're going to eat that you haven't been allowed to eat in a while or anything like that?
Well, he ate salsa and chips the other day because I would not have let him eat that if he was on. I mean, he snuck stuff all through.
I had to watch my diet, but I could eat more things than most normal people on dialysis because my kidneys was the only thing that was wrong with me. When a lot of people that are on dialysis have a lot of things wrong with them besides their kidneys,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't last very long. I don't know how many people I've seen die in my clinic over the years. You really don't like to get too close to anybody because you don't know how long they're going to live.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't urinate. My kidneys completely shut down.
Yeah.
I haven't urinated for like 7-8 years, something like that.
Oh, wow.
And, but yeah, I'm still doing good on dialysis right now.
Yeah.
Just that I just got to get out of this with all these things wrong with me. It's too much to handle.
Well, the cancer would take him, and he has the option of stopping his dialysis,
Mm-hmm.
which will take him also.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that speeds it up.
Yeah.
Because once you shut down, once you take yourself off dialysis, all the toxins start building up in your body, and your different organs all start shutting down. And usually, even if you don't have anything wrong with you other than the fact that you're going off dialysis, you're lucky if you last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Gary's heart arteries are clean as a whistle. That was exactly what the surgeon said that did the angiogram on him. But his valve is defective.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's think of another. I'm going to ask you about another good memory here. Share with me one of your favorite memories with Delia. So, a time you two had together that was one of your favorite memories.
Necking was around the car.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, something that you young people will probably vomit and throw up at is Gary and I were both virgins when we got married.
Hey.
I mean, we necked a lot, but, nowadays the girls wear their bikinis lower than Gary could ever get his hand.
Oh, that's funny.
things were a lot different back in those days.
We just loved each other.
Yeah.
And, we fought and bickered and still do.
Sure.
But that's part of it.
Yeah. So kind of another question I had is, in your 80 some years of life now, how do you think the biggest way the world's different now than it was when you were my age?
It's very fast paced compared with what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And people are losing touch with each other because they're depending on too many electronic things, rather than carrying on conversations. I mean, at the rate they're going now, probably in 10 years, nobody will be able to speak English anymore. All they'll be able to do is push their thumbs on machines and talk to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the whole world we've always had conflicts around the world and stuff like that, but now it's just it never ends.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't know, it's just, I'm glad I grew up when I did, and I didn't have to grow up right now.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Yeah. I think you might be onto something there. So I guess another question, just kind of, you have an interesting perspective on life right now, and I guess, what's your mindset? What are some of the emotions you're feeling right now going into all this?
Some of the emotions I feel right now?
Right now, going into what you're facing.
Well, I'm not scared of dying. And as long as they can keep me out of pain in this hospital so I can go peacefully, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
But I hate leaving Delia and you guys, and,
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully I'll be able to keep an eye on you from up above.
That sounds good to me, man. All right, so I'll kind of wrap it up here before too long. I know it's not easy to talk for a long time, but I guess I'll go two more questions. So, first one is kind of a heavy one, and the second one will be kind of a funny one. So, first question is, if you could say something to your family members in the future, whether it's someone who's listening to this a year from now, or maybe my kids someday when they're listening to this, what's something you would say to them?
Don't take life too serious, and laugh a lot. You got to have a sense of humor.
That's the exact...
If you take things too serious...
And have a good attitude.
Yeah, just have a generally good attitude,
Yeah. That's... If you would have asked me to predict your answer, I think that's what I would have predicted. That's exactly what I expected from you. And I think you taught me how to do that. So thank you for that. And kind of on that note, the other question, and if you don't have one on the top of your head, don't worry about it. But you got one more corny joke you can share with us?
You could tell the albino police joke again.
Oh, I don't want to tell that. That's so corny. I got so many corny jokes I can't remember them all.
That's okay. Well, thanks for talking to me and answering all those questions. And I just want to say that...
Well, I appreciate you calling, Justin. I know it means a lot to Grandpa.
Yeah.
We love you guys.
Yeah, I love you guys too. And I guess I just want to say thank you for being a really awesome grandpa and showing me how to not take life too seriously and laugh at things and make corny jokes for me. And
do you remember when Grandpa used to take you fishing at Side Cut?
I've got all sorts of memories. I remember fishing at Side Cut. I remember our trip across the country. I remember I could never get my mouthwash open, and he'd make that silly face and pop it open for me. I remember...
Remember him snoring in the motel?
Oh, sure. And I remember him marching around with us in your basement back on
Yeah. Every time I hear that Battle of New Orleans, I think of that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was always fun, you guys marching around our basement.
Yeah. And I remember Thursday night...
And then we'd play that record real slow.
The bear went over the mountain.
Oh, yeah, the bear went over the mountain.
Yeah, the bear went over the mountain.
Yeah.
You guys used to get a kick out of that.
Oh, yeah.
The sad thing is Grandpa probably won't see his great-grandchildren biological. I mean, we count Stephen's, Bobby's kids as our great-grandkids, and also Noah and Kaylee. Your mom and I really am glad they're coming out because I'm going to need them. I know it. I know it's hard on your mom and Steve too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a hard thing.
Well, we do the best we can. That's all.
We had hospice out this morning to sign him up, and he's going to stay home as long as possible, maybe for the whole thing. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And then the pastor of our church came out tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a big old Italian guy. I don't think you ever were out here and met him, but he is, he looks like someone straight out of The Godfather. He's about 6'5".
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He gave Gary the sacrament of the sick and also communion to both of us. So,
okay.
Gary has faith,
mm-hmm.
and I will always have him in my heart.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you for calling.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got Ed Cleghorn called me. I had to run to Walmart because I was having milk and bread, and I had to have that when Steve and Tracy were. And he called me in Walmart, and he says, "Well, I want to tell Gary goodbye." So I got to call him back.
Yeah.
Anyway, Grandpa loves you, and I love you. And
and
love you.
I'm always gonna remember your humor and your corny jokes and your genuine laugh and big hugs and kind heart. And I'll remember you doing silly things like drawing eyeballs on my eye patch.
Yeah.
And I'm really inspired by how, even, for the last 13 and a half years when you were going on dialysis, you kept living a very meaningful life and always stayed optimistic and positive and kept having fun. And
attitude and gratitude is two important things in life. And I remember when Gary went on dialysis, I told him that you got to have a good attitude about this or you'll go crazy. There's some people that don't, and they can't deal with it. But Gary did, and he did well. He had a meaningful life.
Yeah. And I think that's a testament to his spirit. So,
and his fortitude.
Yeah.
You gotta.
Yeah, and I'm always gonna treasure the picture of you guys.
Whatever life deals you gotta take care of it.
Yeah, that's for sure. You can only deal with what you're dealt, and I'm always gonna treasure the picture of you two dancing at our wedding, and
you know what? The night before your wedding, I didn't know if he was gonna make it. Yeah. He was throwing up and everything.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he did.
I am too.
Yeah.
But that happened when he got excited during the years he was on dialysis. When he got excited and over-talked and overdid it, he would get nauseated. He did it at the Grand Canyon with Elaine and Clum. Mm-hmm. And he did a lot, and then the next night, after he went to bed, he got up and threw up in the night. But he was okay the next day, but he slept the whole day.
Yeah.
But anyway, Gary's up later than normal, so.
Yeah, well, you've always, every time I've been around you, you've always brightened my day, and I think that's true of pretty much everyone you met. So just thank you for being a great grandpa, and I'm gonna miss you, and I love you a lot. And
okay, love you too.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for calling. Yeah. You can still call me.
Yeah, I'll still be calling, but I just
I know. I tried to. I had to prompt him sometimes because he couldn't hear you.
That's all right.
Well, my hearing is horrible.
I know,
especially on telephone.
Yeah. Well, I've still.
Well, enjoy your podcast, and maybe someday you can play it to your little boy or little girl.
Yeah, I will. I'm saving it, and so I'm gonna save it up, and I'll probably send it to all of them to have, and. I've still got voicemails on my phone saved of you guys doing your little birthday duets and all sorts of
Well, send one to me too.
Yeah, I'll send it to you too. So, and then I just give the advice this weekend. I know it's sad, but try and
we'll be upbeat too. As much as we can.
Yep, and have a little fun and eat some chips and salsa. Yeah, so
He will. I mean, I don't know. We don't know what the timeline is. It's up to God.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be thinking about you both, and I love you guys, so.
Well,
I love you too.
Love you too.